Hi, everyone. Hello, hello. Can we turn it up a little bit? Volume? Okay, good. Perfect. So welcome, everyone. Yay. Yay. We're back through the lens. No, we're back. We're super excited. I wish we had more snow. We all do. It'll come, it'll come, it'll come. But this is happening regardless of the weather, regardless of the snow. So that's a good thing. I want to thank, before I get started, I want to thank the volunteers. We have lots of volunteers here tonight. We have Cindy and Moses who helped you at the bar. Yay! Cindy has been volunteering at the museum since, she probably doesn't want me to say this, but since it started 50 years ago. I know. So, and you can check her out. She's won that Lifetime Achievement Award. So Cindy has been with the museum since the beginning. So we are celebrating. It is 2026, and the museum started in 1976. So we are in our 50th year this year. Isn't that amazing? I know. We're super excited. So we're gonna do another side series. I don't know what we're gonna call it, but I haven't figured it out. But we have a couple. They're going to be free presentations, and they're going to be more like focused on like 50 years of the museum and different things and 50 years of Vail. But that will come up later on within the year. So we're going to celebrate our 50th anniversary for the entire year. So we're getting a new exhibit. I'm not going to tell you what we're getting. Unfortunately, it's the 100 years of ski fashion ends at 2015, so it's time for it to go. So we're going to get that. And then we're going to do a whole new exhibit just on the museum for 50 years, like right here. So that'll be, those are all in the works. I really tried to get it done in December, but then Dana, our curator, had a baby. And so it just didn't happen. So, but it is coming. And I want to thank, besides our volunteers, besides Cindy and Moses, we have Scooter and Mary Jo and Ron. They run our tours. They're our docents. They're incredible. Scooter and Mary Jo both work on the mountain as well. And Scooter actually lived and breathed all these fun stories that she was here from the beginning. And I also want to thank the staff. We have a small staff, but Ashley and Andrew and Whitney are all here tonight. So just a big round of applause. And then, yay! And then one last recognition, and then I'll get into it. Andy Franklin from our board is here tonight. He's an amazing board member, him and his cute wife, Audrey. And they're one of my favorite board members. We have an amazing board. I'm really lucky to have the board that we have. So it's pretty incredible. And I've now been here for 6 years. Can you believe that? Doesn't it seem like 6 years? 6 years. Yeah, it's been a good run. And so we're super excited. And then I need to also thank Discover Vail. So the town of Vail is a huge sponsor of ours, and their kind of marketing arm is called Discover Vail. And, if it wasn't for the town to give us the rent that they give us, it's practically free, we would not exist. So it's super cool. And and so if you ever see your council members, thank them for supporting us, because we are the Colorado Snow Sports Museum, so we could easily go to another resort. So thank goodness for the town of Vail and their generosity over all these amazing years. So we're very, very grateful. And this is Through the Lens #1. And then the next one is next Wednesday. I was trying to do them every other Wednesday. It just doesn't work. I tried. So, yeah, the speakers aren't always available. So next week, we have the history of skiing and avalanches, and how, like back in the day, like even before ski resorts existed, avalanches obviously existed, but it like messed up the mail, it messed up the medical guys, so it's a pretty fascinating story to learn about, that avalanches obviously have been happening for years, but how also then ski areas mitigate them. And this is all with Dale Atkins, who is he's neighbors of Cindy and Moses, so that's how we got connected to him. But Dale, it runs the local mountain search and rescue, so he's dealing in avalanches on a day-to-day basis. So that's our next one, and then I think we take a break, and then we have every Wednesday in February we are here. So just book it now, and you can still buy a season's pass. If you're a member, if you know you're going to come to the rest of them, you can just buy a season's pass and you'll get a break. You get one free. So there you go. So we're trying it. We're trying it out. Sarah Newsom bought one. I knew it. I said Sarah's going to be the first one, and Sarah bought it, and Ken Willis also bought one. So it's pretty great. But tonight we are very excited. Oh shoot. Someone should have told me. Okay, good. We're very excited. Oh, Kent Erickson just walked in. He's also on our board. Thank you, Kent. He's not listening. But thank you, Kent. Thank you for being on the board and being a huge supporter of the museum for many, many, many years. So Kent just walked in. So tonight we have Rudi Hartmann from, and I did make a mistake in one of my um, marketing ploys, to sell tickets. I had his university incorrect. I'm not even going to say the other one. So Rudi Hartmann, Dr. Rudi Hartmann, has come the University of Colorado at Denver. So we're so grateful that you're here tonight. Thank you very much. And his cute wife Kathy is here, who I don't even know how I met Rudi and Kathy, but we met somewhere along the way. And Kathy and I have become friends. So I'm very excited. We're so happy that Rudi is here. So I'm going to hand the microphone to him. I'm going to stay up here, though, and I'm going to help Rudi with his PowerPoint. And then we have some fun things coming up. But Rudi has done, this is his third presentation you've done here. My favorite presentation of all time is when you talked about the links.
Yeah. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here in Vail. Thank you, Jen, for inviting me again for the third time. And this time it's about two individuals uh, who deserved to be mentioned when we talk about the history of Vail. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so Rudi, you gotta hold that microphone.
Is it okay like this? Okay. Um, highway engineer Charlie Vail, who would not only give the new ski area and a resort town its name, but more importantly, a great location along Highway 6, eventually becoming Interstate 70. And ski area developer Pete Seibert, who had the vision for a world-class resort in the Colorado High Country, and was one of the leading founders, if not the founder, of Vail. Next slide. Some basics about their biography. Charlie Vail lived from 1866 to 1945. Pete Seibert from 1924 to 2002. They lived long lives and reached about the same age, 78, 77. I think it's a good age. Uh, their times overlapped by 20 years, though I think they never met. There is a slight chance they might have met in 1943. We know for sure Pete Seibert was here in Colorado, but we don't know whether Charlie Vail, who had major projects in Eagle County, came to. Okay. Good evening. Good to have you here. Yeah. All right. So I argue probably they never met, but there were connections between the two gentlemen. Uh, um, they were both married and had kids, but their life experience, is it somehow? Their life experience was very different. What makes their careers different was that Charlie Vail had a consistent, progressive career path. First with his degree in engineering, then working as an independent engineering consultant, then being part of the city and county of Denver as the Denver manager of improvements in parks, where he achieved a lot and was then promoted to the leading position uh, as state highway engineer, uh, whereas Pete Seibert's career had ups and downs. What makes their career similar is that both uh, had achievements that were recognized or fully recognized at the end of their lives. They had great memorials when they passed away. It was a state event when Charlie Vail died in January 1945, and his coffin was carried by four leading politicians of the state of Colorado, two Republicans, two Democrats, former governors, current governors, and senators. In the case of Pete Seibert, when he died in July of 2002, it was a major community event. About 3,000 people gathered in the Gerald Ford Amphitheater. Maybe some of you had the chance to be there. Jen, were you there?
I was there.
Yeah, yeah. It was a major community event. Yeah. Next slide, please. So, what should we know about Charlie Vail and Pete Seibert? Not, a little bit closer.
I think they're asking you to tilt it up.
Oh, this way. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, that's perfect.
Okay. So, what should we know about Charlie? So, what should we know about Charlie Vail and Pete Seibert and their achievements? Next slide. So, who was Charlie Vail? Still today, he's not very well known, but he had major achievements. Uh, Charlie Vail was the highway engineer who transformed the Colorado roads, who revolutionized the situation. And this is the subtitle. This is the subtitle of this book, a new biography of Charlie Vail, written by uh, Tom Noel, my good colleague Tom Noel, and his graduate student Shelley Carr. Maybe some of you have this book or have seen the book. So he was a major achiever in the highway department of Colorado. He was in charge. He was in charge from 1930 to 1945, 14 long years. During his tenure, uh, um, the mileage of the hard surfaced highways in Colorado increased from 500 in 1930 to 4,400 in 1945. And the Grand Junction Sentinel, a newspaper on the Western Slope, writes about his achievements. The 14 years of his administration spanned the greatest growth and development of the roads of this state. Among the canyon and pass roads which were built or largely improved under his supervision were the Mount Vernon and Floyd Hill routes. These are the access routes from Denver into the mountains. Uh, the Big Thompson Canyon, the Glenwood Canyon, then the Wolf Creek Pass, Monarch Pass, Loveland Pass, Vail Pass, all his achievements. And I mentioned just the pass roads and the canyons. He had also major achievements in southwest Colorado with improving and completing the $1 million road. He improved and built the road up to Mount Evans. When it was completed, it was the highest road in the mountains all over. So, next slide, please. There were two pass roads which have particular importance in the past and today: Monarch Pass and Vail Pass. And Charlie Vail was a very ambitious person, and he wanted finally his name placed on the map of Colorado. He first tried at Monarch and then in Vail, or at Vail. So, talking about Monarch, it was a new pass to be constructed 1937 to 39 over the Continental Divide along Highway 50, the major road in the south of the state of Colorado. And Charlie Vail's design and chosen pass route over the Continental Divide was accepted by the governor of the state of Colorado and the feds. So after a very long public debate, there were many people, they wanted to have a different route. The folks from Salida, they wanted a route over a Marshall Pass. But Charlie Vail pushed his design through, and the road was built. However, he was not able to put his name on the pass. It would not become Vail Pass. And we have a clipping from Professor Dwayne Vanderbusche, and he tells the story why it didn't happen in Monarch and why it happened with Vail. Yeah, we have a clipping here.
Vail Pass. I want all you people at Vail to get a good look at it. I'll bet you didn't know that Vail Pass was between Salida and Gunnison. That sign lasted for about a week. The guy who built the highway was the highway commissioner. He was in charge of building in 1939, Charlie Vail. Very arrogant, very self-centered, and he wanted to change the name of Monarch Pass to Vail Pass. But the local people put an S on the end of Vail, dropped the P from Pass, so it read Vail's ass. And they threw the sign into a ditch. And after a week, Charlie Vail gave up. And Monarch got the name that it always had. But Vail got even, as you people know, and he got the pass between Copper and Vail named for him a little later on. Next.
Yeah. Historian June Symington, she wrote the first history of Vail and Vail Valley. She wrote a piece about the name as well, and she said in the title, "Thank you, Salida." That's how we have Vail Pass here and Vail and many other Vail names. Okay. Okay. Then Vail Pass. Yeah, another pass road crossing over the Continental Divide was to be built in 3940. And after the failure in Monarch, so the Charlie Vail administration tried here again. Uh, uh, it was a sparsely settled area at that point, a remote part of the Rockies. The road uh, from Summit County, 10 Mile Creek into Gore Creek was hardly settled by people, a few ranchers and a few sheep herders. So Vail designed the 2-lane asphalt pass road into Gore Valley. It was accepted and it was named in his honor, Vail Pass. Republican Governor Ralph Carr, by 1940, a good friend and supporter of the highway boss, Charlie Vail, pushed for the designation. So it happened here. Next one. Charlie Vail was a controversial figure. So his grandson, Charles Daniel Vail, remembered his grandfather, and it is part of this book here, the Vail biography. And so he argued when he knew his grandfather, Charlie Vail's, he was a true boss, a machine politician who did not waste time on his enemies. And he had plenty of enemies, including Ed Johnson, who was governor and senator at some point, while Charles Vail was in charge of the highway department. The Denver Post was highly critical of Charles Vail, and they ran several cartoons about Charlie Vail. And Charlie Vail was a firm believer in the New Deal, and he had close ties to FDR, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and his administration in Washington, D.C., which supported a lot of his road projects. I found an article somebody at the Rocky Mountain News wrote in 1943, and I want to go through this because it describes really Charlie Vail, the political figure. What is the secret of his arbitrary power? Mainly, perhaps the weakness of the opposition. No governor has dared challenge him. Mr. Vail is, in addition, an exceedingly skillful politician, remarkably adept to playing both ends against the middle. He has direct control of more money than any other public official for more than a decade. By the way, he was the highest paid state official for many years. By his aggressive personality and the vast sums he controlled, Mr. Vail was able to establish himself as the chief political power. Mr. Vail has shifted about employees as he pleased. He hired his son, he hired his nephew, and then raised their salaries. But Governor Carr let the opportunity pass. Governor Vivian thus far has failed to meet the issue. So the highway dictator remains. So that was the politician Charlie Vail.
So I have a question. Was he
Yeah.
an elected official or was he appointed?
He was appointed by the governor in 1930, but he had a lot of achievements from the 6 years he worked. The 6 years he worked as the public works director of the city and county of Denver. Mayor Stapleton, maybe you heard the name, he hired him and supported him. And so this is where Charlie Vail had his first public achievements with the road to Bear Creek, to Red Rocks, and major other projects here, park projects. And then the governor, I forgot the name, in 1930 hired him for the position as the leading state highway engineer, as leader of the highway department. It had a different name. Now we call it CDOT. So, okay, the next one, please. So, what was his legacy? I think with the creation of the Vail Pass Road, he was instrumental for the easy accessibility of Gore Creek, of the Gore Creek Valley, and of the town of Vail eventually. Today, my wife and I drove to Vail in less than 2 hours, but it takes more than 3 hours to make it to Steamboat and more than 4 hours to Aspen, so which are in a comparable location. So great accessibility of Highway 6 that became then Interstate 70. Charlie Vail did his homework. He examined closely all options for crossing the Continental Divide in the Colorado Rockies. And his decision for the Vail Pass route stuck. So also later on, 10, 20, 30 years after Vail Pass was completed, all the major pass projects went through Vail Pass, basically. Then Charlie Vail was not only the state, the person who transformed the state highway system, but also he promoted trips to Colorado with the printing of free Colorado maps. For the first time happened in 1932. So he pushed also Colorado as a destination. And here in Eagle County, he had two major projects. We talked about Highway 6 and this bridge, the Red Cliff Arch Bridge, which was completed in 1942. And a lot of people still regard this as a major achievement. It's a landmark bridge, I think. And it was built at a time when it was important because Camp Hale was established, and it connected Camp Vail with Minturn and the west. Okay. So the next slide, please. So what is his toponymic imprint in Colorado? His connection to place names. And there are a multitude of Vail places here in the state of Colorado. The Vail Ski Area, of course, opened in December 1962, owned by Vail Associates first, then by Vail Resorts, Inc. Then, of course, Vail Village and the town of Vail, established in 1966. And Vail Valley, first recognized in the 70s with the emerging of East Vail and West Vail, with a second base of the ski area in Lions Head, with a second ski area, Beaver Creek. Now, Vail Valley is about 50 miles long from Vail Pass to Dotsero at the confluence of the Eagle River and the Colorado River. And most of all, it is the Vail Pass area with the heavily visited Vail Pass winter recreation area, visited by 50,000 people plus, and has a trailhead at the Vail Pass rest area, just recently restored and expanded with more parking places, with more toilets, and so on. So these are all place names in the honor of Charlie Vail, and most often we are not aware of this. Okay. Then I wanted to quote his grandson, who was quite impressed by his grandfather, Charlie Vail. And so he argued that Charlie Vail was the boss of everything wherever they went. He was a young guy, 4 years to 9 years old, and so he realized what a important figure his grandfather was for the building of the state road system. Okay. Then finally he writes in the foreword, until his passing in 1945, I never thought of Uncle Charlie as mortal. He was such a dominant figure, and he passed away in January 45. Okay, let's move on.
Was he a tall man?
No, he was just a normal size. I don't, yeah. I don't know the figures. I would say 5'10" to 6 or so. And he had a little belly or so. And he loved to smoke cigars. And his employees who were loyal to him, they gave him regularly cigars. And I don't think he was a skier.
Can I ask a quick question? Before Vail Pass,
Yeah.
Minturn and Eagle must have been awfully isolated as towns.
Yes, they were. And what happened, Vail Pass, the road, Highway 6, replaced another pass road, the Shrine Pass Road. And so Charlie Vail, so he studied the terrain. And he did his homework and he realized Vail Pass was a better solution. From 10 Mile Creek into Gore Creek, he used the Black Gore subsidiary of the Gore. Gore is a fairly short river, and but he realized that was the better and more elegant solution. Shrine Pass was much higher, about 400 feet higher, although it was very scenic. At some point, you could see Holy Cross Mountain. So still today, the folks who visit the Winter Pass, Vail Pass Winter Recreation Area, they can visit Shrine Pass, and there are several cabins there. So yeah, so coming back to your question, yes, Vail Pass replaced Shrine Pass that led into Red Cliff, and there was a promoter of Red Cliff, of this old mining town, but he realized Vail Pass was the more scenic, more elegant solution that Charles Vail had. And it persisted. I-70 was built along the Vail Pass route. Okay. So now a question we could ask, was there a direct connection between Charles Vail and Pete Seibert, these two important figures in the history of Vail? Maybe there was. I think when we go back to the beginnings of Vail, then there was a major event, a legendary event, and I describe it here. And some of you have read this paragraph as well. On March 19, 1957, Pete Seibert and Earl Eaton drove their car along Highway 6, the road that the Charles Vail administration had designed and built, to climb an unnamed mountain. So they went up 7 hours and enjoyed the view on top at the back poles, and they skied down in 2 hours to their parked car on Highway 6. So that's maybe this connection. And it was this legendary climb, hike up for Pete Seibert and Earl Eaton to realize that this was their desired ski area project. And eventually it led to the creation of the Vail ski area. Okay, the next one. We go now to Pete Seibert. Pete Seibert was born in Massachusetts. He grew up in New England. He graduated from a high school in New Hampshire, and he learned skiing at the age of 7. So, and there is one reflection in his book he wrote later, Vail, Triumph of a Dream, that he had the memory as a 10-year-old boy that he saw a picture of an idyllic Austrian resort, and it kept in his mind. So I think. Okay, then during the World War II years, he heard about the soldier skiers, and he was attracted to this idea. He applied to the 10th Mountain Division, which was, of course, had a training ground in Camp Hale in Colorado. So he came 1943 to Colorado. So he became a member of this elite troop, which we still honor. And here the ski museum has a section just on the 10th Mountain Division, how important it was for the development of the Colorado resort industry. So Pete Seibert became a member, and this is where he got familiar with this part of Colorado and with the mountains of Colorado. And he became friend with his comrades who had similar professional ideas, who had similar interests, and who would become eventual his team members when the Vail ski area was built. So he was a soldier on skis, and in 44, 45, he was part of the Allied troop that fought the Nazi German troops which occupied Italy at that point. And he was part of the Battle of Riva Ridge. And this is where he was injured 3 times. His knee, his legs, and his arms were injured. And so they told him, you will never be able to walk and to ski. So next slide, please. So Pete Seibert recovered in 1946, and this were also his first career steps as a ski area manager and ski area developer. So he decided to move first to Aspen, Colorado, and joined the ski patrolman. Then he was invited by Friedel Pfeiffer to be part of the ski school. And legend has it that Pete Seibert also worked as a server at the Red Onion, which is a local place in Aspen, as you may know. And so a few years later, then he started to participate in ski racing. So even after his injuries, he became a ski racer, and he won the Roach Cup, a prestigious race in Aspen, on Aspen Mountain in 1947. Should I cut it a little bit short? Yeah. Okay. And eventually he became a member of the USA ski team and was supposed to be a part of the team that was competing in the World Championships 1950 in Aspen, but his ankle was injured, so he could not participate in the events. But he was a good skier, a very good skier. Then he decided to further his education. He went to the University of Grenoble and then eventually to the École Hotelier at Lausanne, a very well-known well-known school for the hospitality industry. he came back in Colorado and he was made manager of the Loveland ski area, where also Earl Eaton worked. They met each other first in Aspen, then in Loveland, and they talked about this new ski area they wanted to start. Next. Uh, so, a few words about the beginnings and the completion of the Vail Ski Area project. Seibert and Eaton formed a small group with a few oil men, lawyers, and real estate people. There was a group of 6 and formed a deceptive organization, the Transmontane Rod and Gun Club. So nothing happened there, but what the purpose was to get in touch with the locals, local ranchers and sheep herders, and eventually buy their land, which would form the base of this potential ski area, Vail ski area. And so they were able to get the land for the base, and then they applied for a special permit to the Forest Service, but the first application was rejected. So the forester, very influential guy, Paul Hawk, he had the opinion that there were already enough ski areas around. We didn't, we did not need further ski areas. But then Pete Seibert, as the persistent person he was, he went through politicians, the congressman, let me see, Wayne Allott and Senator Gordon Alcott, and they wrote letters to the Forest Service, and then a compromise was reached, but a tough one. They needed to have a startup money of 1.5 million. So they went on the road again to find investors. And then eventually they formed Vail Associates. Pete Seibert was a board member, and for the first 10 years or so, the president. And they completed the Vail ski area with a gondola first in Colorado and 3 lifts. And the ski area was opened in December 15th, 1962. The ski pass cost $5 at that point on this day. Okay, then first problems and then the boom years of Vail. The first ski season, 62, 63, and December of 1963 were marked by snow scarcity. So it looked pretty bad. And Bob Parker, who became the marketing executive, marketing director of Vail, he had the idea, let's go to the Ute Indians and ask them for a rain dance. And they came and did. And a week later, a major snowstorm hit Vail and saved the 1963-64 ski season. So then with the addition of the Lion's Head base, the second base, and also Golden Peak, the Vail ski area became the largest ski area in the United States. And In '64, they welcomed the first million skier. So Vail took off and was a boom area. Uh, Pete Seibert called this time period from 63 to 76 the golden years of Vail. Although I heard from other people, Terry Minga, who was the town manager for many years, that there were growing pains when Vail started. So, next slide here. The darkest day for Vail was, in the words of Peter Seibert, uh, uh, March 26, 1976, when a fatal gondola accident happened. So two cars on the Lion's Head gondola got tangled in the cable atop a lift tower and plunged 125 feet to the ground. 4 people died, 8 were badly hurt. The rest of the night day was taken up by heroic ski patrollers, bringing down 176 people in the 31 stranded cars. So it was a major catastrophe. And the result was that the Vail ski area was closed for the rest of the season. And then eventually the board members of Vail Associates, including Pete Seibert, decided to sell the ski area. So a new owner, Harry Bass, took over. He had a foundation with enough money and other support that allowed him to purchase the ski area in 1977 at a low price of $13 just. People on the board of Vail Associate uh, feared all the lawsuits, all the money they would have to pay to the people affected by the gondola accident. So Harry Bass took over, and things changed. The next slide. So with the change in ownership, also Pete Seibert's situation at Vail changed fundamentally. So he had major fights with Harry Bass, and so he was eventually forced to leave. And so what he did, Earl Eaton later on said, "We, the finders and founders of Vail, were fired." So, and so what Pete Seibert did, he went to Utah to a different ski area, Snow Basin, and he had the intention to make it also happen in Utah, but the rustic small ski area of Snow Basin went into major financial problems, and he lost a good deal of what he had earned from his Vail adventure. Okay. Harry Bass had an even worse fate. He found himself out of job when the trustees of the fund he had controlled for a while, including his children, pulled the money out of Vail, and he lost the ownership 7, 8 years later. George Gillette, a multimillionaire in different business in slaughterhouse, media, and so on, bought Vail for 130 million in 1985. Next one. So Pete Seibert uh, could not succeed with his snow basin project, and he decided to come back to Vail. And he was welcomed back to Vail as the iconic founder of the town. And so in 1981, he was put back on the payroll of Vail Associates. So he worked as a consultant for the design of Arrowhead, a small ski area just west of Beaver Creek. And so he earned a lot of respect and won wide recognition. So the ski magazine rated him as number 3 out of 100 of the ski area developers and managers. And he became president of the National Ski Association of America for 2 years. Here in Vail, he was honored also with Pete's Bowl in the Blue Sky Basin in starting in the ski season 2000 2001. So he achieved a lot, and he was honored for that. Here I have a picture of his, which I took in 1994 or 95 at the occasion of a World Cup race in Vail. So by that time, I was a professor at the University of Colorado, and I came with my students here to Vail for a field trip. I visited also the ski museum in the late 1890s, when it was still on the second floor of the fire department. And so I had the chance to take a picture of this gentleman. He was very friendly. I exchanged a few words with him. So I think this picture reflects that, what kind of a person he was. Okay, next one. So what was Pete Seibert's legacy? He was the finder and founder of Vail, the leading person in making Vail happen. He realized his dream with this creation of a world-class resort, European alpine style. He was able to express his lifetime experience in a beautiful book. Maybe you have it, Vail, Triumph of a Dream. And so it became a coffee table book for many Vailites. Maybe some of you still have it. It's a beautiful book with many gorgeous pictures and valuable reflections of the man Pete Seibert. And finally, he was also incorporated in the Hall of Fame in 1980. Okay, next one. Yeah, we ask, Jen and I ask Pete Seibert, Seibert Jr. 3 questions.
So we asked Pete to be with us tonight. Unfortunately, he could not be here. So we asked Pete 3 questions, and then he sent me the videos today. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up these videos and the questions.
Unfortunately, Pete Seibert Jr. cannot be here. So here's
So, somebody had my. Well, Pete kind of answers the question is in the you have my phone though. Can you grab my phone? I sent Pete the questions on my phone. Pete's in Denver, caring for his mother, Betty. Those of you remember Pete Betty, I'm sure. Betty taught school. She was the first school teacher in town. So the first question that we asked Pete was, we could refer to Pete as the bridge between the early days of Vail and what the resort has become today. So knowing your father's original vision for Vail and what you think would make him most proud and to see today, like what was he going to be most proud, and where do you think the reality really fell short of his dream? So this is Pete's answer to that question. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot to do one small thing.
I think it's the third video.
Thanks for having me tonight. To answer the first question, as far as what Pete Sr. would be most proud of in Vail, I think it would be the guest experience, both on the mountain on the right day when we've got new snow, and the fact that the mountain actually goes all the way back to Blue Sky, which was in their original permit in 1957, to see that come to fruition. And then the way the village has come to offer so many things besides the skiing and all the guest experiences that are there in the summer. It's really a pretty incredible year-round resort now, and I think he'd be very proud of that. The place where I think he might have seen it fall short is in the operation now. When things were started, skiing came first. It was the sport of skiing. It was a way of life for everyone who was here, and they were introducing the guests to it or sharing it with them if they already knew it. And now it's on a certain level, it's an industry. The business side of it for Pete and the other people in Vail Associates really was a means to an end. And I think now he would be disappointed that the business has really taken over.
So I didn't really introduce that very well. So for those of you who don't know, that is Pete Seibert Jr. And obviously Pete Seibert grew up here, and he was Pete's son. So, all right. So the next question that we asked him was, is there a special moment or event in your life that with your dad that you particularly treasured? So I believe that was this one.
So 25 years after Pete passed, what I'd like everyone. The second question is, what's a special moment that I remember with Pete? And a lot of them come to mind, but I think one that was really fun was the day that they opened Pete's lift in Blue Sky. Pete's knee was bothering him, so he rode up the lift. There was a short ceremony at the top and photos and so on, and then he rode back down the lift. And my son Pete was 14. He and I skied underneath the lift and passed Grandpa. Grandpa got to watch Pete pass me, and me clearly decide not to try and catch it. So he got a good laugh out of that, and it's something I'll always remember.
Pete, that's a lot of Pete's. And then the final question that we asked Pete was, what should we know about Pete Seibert, your dad, 25 years after his passing? And what would you like us to remember about Pete?
So 25 years after Pete passed, what I'd like everyone to know about Pete and to remember is that he went through his life taking chances. Sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't, but he always took them. One good example is losing his kneecap during World War II in 1945. It was shattered by shrapnel. They told him he may not ever run or barely walk. And he asked about skiing without a kneecap. They said we don't know if you can do it. By 1950, he was on the FIS World Championship ski team, United States ski team in Aspen without his kneecap. So that was one. The other big chance was moving the family to Vail in 1962. They were all in, and there was really it's like burning the boat on the beach. There was no turning back for them. They moved forward. They stayed committed. When they went to develop Lion's Head, they had to make a choice. They had the company in control under a limited partnership, but the option that they decided on was to go public, lose control, lose individual positions in the company to some extent, and raise the money to grow the dream. And that's what they chose. So what I got from Pete is that it's what you accomplish, not what you accumulate. And he always was after what could be the next best thing to accomplish.
We really wish Pete could have been here tonight, but he couldn't. He's down in Denver, as I said. But do we have questions
Yeah.
for Rudy? Sarah worked for Pete for most of the years he was here. Is that correct, Sarah?
From 1969 until
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sarah knew some.
What would you say about Pete?
what would I say about him?
Yeah.
It's true. When he talks about his dream, he was a dreamer, and
Yeah.
not a businessman as much
Yeah.
as a dreamer. But he was a wonderful person. He was a great person to work for,
Yeah.
and it was an exciting time for all of us. I mean,
Yeah.
1969, we were still pretty remote, and so anybody that came to Vail came to Vail Associates to see Pete. So
Yeah.
it was, and it the I mean, I worked. I was still at Vail Associates when Harry Bass took
Yeah.
over. So
Yeah.
I know maybe you had to know Harry Bass to understand the whole family.
Yeah.
And talk about different. I mean, Pete was a personable. He loved people. That was
Yeah.
Pete. And
Yeah.
Harry Bass just stayed in his office. I mean,
Yeah.
didn't have that camaraderie.
Yeah. They were very different personalities. Pete, I think what I gathered, was a very gracious person. Yeah.
To a fault sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
did wonderful things. He had good
Yeah.
ideas, and he surrounded himself with people that
Yeah.
had equally as good of ideas and
Yeah.
helped him. I mean, you had pictures of Bob Parker and Bill Brown. So
Yeah. I have a quote from Pete Seibert Jr. In an interview after the memorial, after his dad passed away 2002. And he said, and I thought this was quite interesting, my father loved the best food, the best skiing, and the best people. Yeah. Yeah.
and did not see any bad.
Yeah. Okay. Any other question regarding Pete Seibert or Charlie Vail? Oh yeah, please.
I skied here at age 14 with my dad in February 1963. And Vail had been open for about 2 months.
Yeah.
And at that time, Vail was offering the following deal. You could buy a lot right around the base area for $10,000.
Yeah.
You would get a lifetime pass for every member of your family.
Yeah.
And you had to agree to build a house on the lot within 3 years. And some people took that deal and never
Yeah.
regretted it. parents didn't take that deal
Yeah. Yeah.
and lived to regret it.
Yeah, that's correct. They were looking for investors, and then by 1959, 1960, had a group of about 20 people who paid some $10,000. So that's true.
Was the original route for Vail Pass supposed to bypass what's Copper now? Of a straighter route through like where Buffalo Mountain is in Summit County?
When do you ask about the pass
Yeah,
road?
the original
Yeah,
route plan for Vail Pass.
yeah.
I thought it
There
was
was
different, and
also
then they changed
a
it to what it
debate
is.
whether Buffalo Pass would be used. And if I'm correct, it is now part of the wilderness area.
Right.
Yeah.
I've hiked it, but I
And
was
that
surprised
was
to hear that. I thought that was the original route.
Charlie Vail was no longer around, but he studied the situation and he opted for Vail Pass. And later on, there was a debate over Vail Pass or Buffalo Pass as the crossover pass in the Rockies. And again, the engineer came back to Charlie Vail's decision. It's Vail Pass. Yeah, there were debates, certainly. Also, Ed Johnson, this influential person, he was also involved in many debates of how I-70 could be built and could run over the Colorado Rockies. So there were many controversial discussions. Yeah.
Eisenhower was committed to making I-70 or the
Yeah.
national route all the way to California. Where does Charlie Vail come in with Eisenhower's plan? I'm not sure the exact dates, but
Well, what happened? Eisenhower was in Denver in the 1950s, and again, Ed Johnson hosted him, and they gave him gifts and presents. The debate over the route of the I-70 was in the 50s, 60s. That's when it was decided. Charlie Vail died in 45. But he knew there would be a discussion about a interstate system, and he expressed his view that the highway should run from Denver into Utah. So he expressed it already, although the decision was made later in the late 50s and in the 60s. That's when the layout of the interstate system was decided.
Were there any other considerations of names besides Vail that were being discussed, or was it just kind of automatically?
What? Excuse me. Can you repeat that?
Was there any other discussion of other names for the name?
Yes, there was, but so Pete Seibert in this small group that eventually wrote the application, then he's suggested Vail Pass because it was so close to Vail ski area, because it was just south of or west of the pass area. And there was one gentleman, and he suggested Shining Mountain. The original name the Utes had for the Rockies. But what Pete said then as an answer, Shining Mountain doesn't sound good because people would think it is an icy ski area. That was Pete Seibert's answer, and so uh, 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 he was the person who also gave the name, and the person who had the other idea, he left the board. So, yeah. So,
Okay, so thank you. So any other quick questions for Rudi? Are we good? So I know everybody has a Vail story. Everybody wants to.
yeah.
So Ken, do you want to? But yes, we are. I want to thank Rudi, and everything, and thank you, and and it's funny. It's like as if like I gave Rudi these names, but the fathers who created the Colorado Snow Sports Museum, it's on our letterhead, is Bob Parker, Terry Minger,
Yeah.
Larry Abbott, and then there's a fourth. I always forget his name. It's so bad.
Wasn't Don Simonton?
Don Simonton, yes, is
Yeah.
also in our
Yeah.
lifetime of two. Look at that. So it's pretty amazing. And we were created in 1976 to celebrate the 100th birthday of Colorado. Colorado is turning 150 this year, and the country is turning 250, which is pretty incredible. And we get asked all the time. I-70 was created in 1974, and the state loved that these guys were going to create a museum off their new highway that they created. So it's pretty cool. So thank you all for coming. And I think Kent, you have a quick little story. What do you want to tell us?
Yeah, I worked in the office with Pete Seibert and others, and the Vail, the Denver Post wrote an article about Vail, spelled Vail, V-A-L-E. Pete said, "Keep them talking. We'll correct the spelling later," and that's what happened. That's what happened. Yeah. And then I have a short story about Bill Brown, the mountain manager, and I
Yeah.
got in the office again. Pete was talking about, we hired Bill Brown and he'd be a mountain manager and he'll shake things up, I said, okay. So there used to be a double chairlift uh, going up the mountain that started right down by where the gondola starts now. And I got on the lift there, and this guy standing down there and below me, standing below me, and the 8 of the guys from the mountain came down and stopped, like they were in attention, and he said, "Where the hell, guys, man? Don't butt me. Things are gonna change." he was a really kick-ass kind of guy. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
Tom Sarge he was a sergeant of the 10th Mountain Division. So thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for supporting. Most of you are already members. If you're not a member, become a member. And we'll see you next Wednesday to learn about the history of skiing and avalanches. So thank you all. And if you missed it, you want to send this to someone, all of our programs go up on our YouTube channel, which is connected to our website. So if you want to send this to someone that would love this, you can go ahead and send that. Thank you.